My name is Rico Apitz. I'm from Germany. I'm working for the company init, and we are a service provider in a lot of fields, but I'm from the consulting unit of init, and I'm working for the German Ministry of the Interior, and especially in the fields of standardization. It means technical standardization, but also semantical standardization. And therefore I'm the project leader of the federal interoperability framework, SAGA. It stands for Standards and Architectures for E-Government Applications. And I want to introduce you to this framework and to the experiences, and I want to give you an overview about the new development and the future trends in the further development of SAGA. So we will have a look at the status quo of standardization in Germany, and I'll tell you something about the binding effect of SAGA for the federal administration, its scope of the goals of standardization, the topics, and something about the new SAGA version, SAGA 5 in practice. And at the end we will have a look into the future. SAGA, the technical standardization starts in the federal government with the initiative Bund Online. In the year 2000, there were a need for technical standardization, so we looked at the British standards document, the e-gov, the e-government interoperability framework of the United Kingdom, and created a German framework and called it SAGA, Standards and Architectures for E-Government Applications. And in the year 2002, we published it the first time. And other parts of Bund Online were to create one for all of us, what is also a kind of a solution for standardization and for reuse of applications. And we added to SAGA a reference software architecture later, and also a reference infrastructure. And now current version of SAGA is the number 4 from March 2008, with approximately classified specifications of 195. And by now there is a final concept of the next SAGA version number 5, and we are still working on this next SAGA version. And from the federal level to all levels of administration, there's a semantic standardization on a national level in Germany. So we have a repository with data standards and a repository for code lists, where all data formats were collected for the e-government in Germany. And there are a lot of projects for subject-specific standardization and different fields for different topics like justice or police or traffic. And because these subject-specific projects has the need to share data with each other, we also made some standards for interdisciplinary data models, the so-called core components. These are data models that you will find in most of the applications, like a name of a person or an address. So we made this standardization too. And there is a tool that is able to generate XML schema and XML documentation from UML models. This is the X generator. It's an open source development and freely available, and it is used to harmonize the different subject-specific data models. A few months ago, we were faced with new conditions on the federal level for the purpose of interoperability. So there is a new IT council founded, and a CAO has been installed for the whole federal level. And the new thing is that this IT council is able to make mandatory resolutions for the whole federal level instead of recommendations of the past. And members of this IT Council are the CIOs from every department that are also being new. And the work of the standardization is done by project groups of this IT Council. So there is a project group for an architectural framework and also a project group on Saga 5. In the past, Saga 4 was not very binding. It was a recommendation for all ministries on the federal level. So we're up to the federal ministries to decide to use Saga or not. That's why not every ministry used Saga in a way we like to. But now with Saga 5, it will be mandatory for all administrations. So I think use of Saga will change in the future. And also the scope will be changed. In the past, Saga 4, that says the name, Standards and Architectures for e-government Applications, has only the scope on some software systems, mainly the ones who fulfill or support services of the federal government, or the ones with interfaces between the federal level or federal, state and municipal authorities. With Saga 5, the scope will be much extended to all software systems. So Saga becomes a proper name and is no more an abbreviation. We reorganized the goals for Saga. There are new strategic goals, the economy, efficiency, agility, openness, and we added some technical goals to them. Security, interoperability, reusability, scalability. These goals are important because every decision we do in classifying standards and specifications, we put on the basic of these goals. So we decide whether an application is open or it supports interoperability, it supports reusability, then it will begin higher classification than other ones. Then there is the goal of openness, and we decided to make it more clear what we understand under openness. We don't wanted to give a new definition of openness. There are a lot of them, but we decided to make some minimum requirements that must be fulfilled by every standard to be part of the framework Saga. Because changing one word can change the meaning. I put the original minimum requirements on the slide. And they say the standard is published and the documentation of the standard specification is free or at most available for a nominal fee. The intellectual property, for example in the form of patents of the standard or parts of the standard, are preferably royalty-free, and there is no limitation to the usage of the standard for the federal administration and users of the administration services. And at least the standard needs to stay published and royalty-free in the future. The most discussion was about the word preferably. One of them wanted to leave this out, other ones wanted to make more room for get license fees or something like that. So this is a solution between the different points of view. And because these are only minimum requirements, we are able to give a more open standard a higher classification inside Saga than a less open standard. This is the chapter design of Saga 4. We oriented on an architecture framework, the reference model of open distributed processing, RMODP. That's why we have 5 viewpoints on the German e-government. There is the main viewpoint, the technology viewpoint with all the standards classified, then a computational viewpoint with rules for architectures of software applications, an engine